What's up guys, TheMainManSWE here, hoping you're all doing awesome as always. And before I start this video, I just want to give a huge congrats to us, like the Tekken community and the developers, as Harada shared on Twitter that the game has now sold over 5 million copies. An incredible number. Tag 2, the game preceding Tekken 7, sold 1.5 million. So this game is now over 3 times as commercially successful. There certainly is a hype train surrounding Tekken, and I just hope it keeps it up, you know, doesn't run out of steam. I couldn't be happier as a Tekken fan, and I sure hope you guys are as happy as I am. But in this video we're gonna discuss Leroy 3.0, our new Leroy. He's completely changed. He's not a god anymore, he's like us, of flesh and blood, a human being. But he's still very, very strong. He's still top tier, absolutely, in my opinion, one of the strongest characters. So in this video, I'm actually going to divide it into 2 parts. The first part is going to be me dissecting the patch notes, going through them, showing you guys how everything has changed with Leroy here. And part 2 is going to be me discussing more generally where I see Leroy 9 in terms of strengths and, you know, compared to the other characters, you know, who is he now? Well, basically showing you guys why he's still so strong. So if you want to skip directly to part 2, I'm going to have that in the comment section pinned, a comment by me with a timestamp, so FYI. But so let's start. First off, he's always had huge damage, and that has come down now with 2 patches. So this one and the one prior to this one. So for example, launch Leroy, well, the initial Leroy, from an orbital, he used to do 77 damage. And then that was nerfed to 70 damage, as they nerfed the second hit of down to 4, does 11 now, used to do 17, so that's a big drastic nerf. And they also nerfed the second hit of down back 1-3, did slightly less. And now in this patch, they additionally nerfed the damage on the first hit of down back 1-3, and they also nerfed the damage on down 3-2, which is also a key low. It does now, the first hit does 10, it used to do 14. So all of this combined now means that he does 10 damage less from an orbital than launch Leroy did. So now that is 67, used to do 77. Massive difference, and a great thing indeed, because a character that has has amazing launchers and no execution shouldn't do that much damage. So that's great indeed. And the damage on while standing 2, the initial launcher, has also come down. This used to do a total of 80 damage and now does 68. So again, 12 points less. This is a great change. And now let's just start with the patch notes. We have his, infamous 10-frame counter hit string. Used to do 47, now it does 42, minus 5 damage on the last hit. The initial 1-1, the second hit has less tracking. It used to be hard to step, now it's not. And it also has worse frames overall. You see there on block it is minus 9, and should it hit, it is now plus 2. I believe it used to be plus 4. And also, of course, the last machine gun punch. So that's up to those. They recover they are much worse now on recovery, on whiff. And they used to be minus 10 on block, now they are minus 13. So everyone gets a bigger punish. And the last hit is the one that's the most interesting here. Reduced damage, but also, as you saw, it doesn't do that typical knockdown anymore, that wall splats. So this means that this string is actually now very easy to punish on duck and whiff. Oh, sorry. So if I duck here, I have literally half a year to punish him. You can do a neutral hop kick here quite easily. You see, that's also punish. That's a punish. So he looks like an idiot for 50 years, so that's great, because that string was, you know, a little bit too good. But yeah, it's actually still a threat at the wall, so don't breathe a sigh of relief just yet, because he might not get the wall splat, but he still gets a ground pound. That's fully guaranteed from what I can see at least. And that leads to a disgusting 50-50 in that he can do that into another ground pound, which will which will connect unless you stand up and block low. See, 33 damage, and that's only minus 13 on block. He doesn't take a huge risk. And if you stand up and go into a crouch, and the Leroy player knows that, safe wall splat in back 4, safe wall splat in forward 1+2. So this string is still going to be really strong. So ratatatata, and then go for a mix-up. And yes, you can still hit confirm it if you see that you know, they twitch prior to the first hit connecting. You know, counter it, confirming it. You see that they did something, and you hit that. You can add the 1+2. So this string is still very strong. It's just not as obnoxious as it was. And then he has 5 damage less on his 14 frame punish there. The last hit does 27 instead of 32. So it does 51 in total now instead of 56. But it is still a great punish, 51 damage. And then down to 4 has reduced pushback on block. Like so, you see he doesn't push them back at all anymore. So now at minus 13, Kazuya can easily twin piston this. It's used to push back so that twin piston would whiff. So that's good, but this is still an excellent low if you ask me. And down 3-2, incredible pressure starter, one of his go-to lows to create momentum. As I said, 4 damage less on the initial kick, but still 20 damage plus 8 permit. Still a great low. But did nerf his combo damage a bit as well. Then we have down 1+2, which used to be the best move in the game, if you ask me. It doesn't launch anymore on counter hit, knocks them down for guaranteed ground pound into mix-up. Thank God for that. It also doesn't force crouch on block anymore, and it's -4 instead of neutral. So hefty nerfs, but you know, this move was just unbelievably strong. And you know what? Even with these nerfs, it's still a great move. You see how far fucking away this connects? You know, it still hits almost grounded. You know, if they twitch on the ground, it clips them. Tracks to one side. Tracks a lot if they sidestep left towards the background. This tracks like crazy. And this is still a big reward on counter it. Even with the nerfs, that's still a fucking solid move, if you ask me. And then Damek 1 saw some nerfing. As I said, damage used to do 15, now does 12. And they also removed the crouch property on it. You could actually use this as a panic move, sort of. You could do down forward 1 into it, and it would go under jabs. But now there's no crushing or evasion, no crouching. So you can interrupt him. And thank God for that, because it is a great string to set up back 1+2. Keeps them very close to you. You set them up like this. Bam. And with the mid mix-up, it's just a great string. So thank God they removed that. It was a bit too strong. And then back 1 on counter hit now does 5 damage less. The follow-up. It used to do 30, now it does 25, so a total of 45 instead of 50. But you know what? That's still an amazing move. You know, it's still an 11 frame counter hit where you don't have to manually do a follow-up. It automatically goes into a throw for 45 damage. And on block it's -6. That's a great move. Great move. And then we have back 1+2, which is the second, you know, god move. Well, he has a lot of god moves, but back 1+2 and down 1+2 were always like one step above even the craziest shit Leroy had. It does 3 damage less. As you can see, there's no hit effect anymore, so that's visually telling you that it does less damage now. 17 instead of 20. It is now -9 on block. Used to be -5, right? Just completely ridiculous. And it has less pushback on block, but it still pushes back a little bit, as you can see. So yeah, -9, but still some pushback. And it is worse on hit. It's now +2 on hit. Used to be +5, right? Or +4. But on whiff now, it is much worse. They've added, if this whiffs, they've added 10 frames of recovery. That is a lot of frames. So where you used to be able to stand like this, huh, 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 now it's huh, 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 huh. So yeah, that's great. Those are some pretty significant nerfs. But just like with down 1+2, this remains a very strong move. This is still a 12 frame counter hit mid launcher. It's completely unique. So yeah, they've balanced it now, thank God, a bit, but still, great tool. Upward 4 is orbital. Last patch, they made it -8 instead of -3, thank God for that. And now it has less range with this patch. But still, I don't know, still one of the absolute best orbitals in the game. If not the best. Still really good on whiff. You can spam it. It's 21 frames fast. Brian's is what? 24? Or is it 23? I don't remember. But it's still super good. Because even if they block this, if you parry, all they can do to interrupt your parry is a jab, a 10 frame. An 11 frame will get parried. But it's still a mind game, because if you duck, you will duck their jab. So even if they block your -8 orbital on block, you know, it's still a mind game. And then we have 4422 has less pushback on block, and thank God for that. You used to be able to make it completely safe. If you placed it at tip range, it would push back so that most -13 punishers would not work. So thank God for that, but still remains a great move. It's a very long range 15 frame launcher that tracks all right to both sides. You can sidestep it, but you better time it properly, your sidewalk. This is still a superb punisher for long range. And then we have forward 3. This move has been castrated. Like really, I just don't see the purpose of using this anymore. It has gone from being a homing move. Let's see, I'm gonna jump back and then do it. It's gone from being a homing move to having no tracking whatsoever. If you just tap a tiny sidestep to both sides, it whiffs. You can very easily launch him because the recovery is terrible on whiff. And it's still, of course, a high, so it's fully duckable as well. If it's blocked now, point blank, it's -2. From far away, it's slightly plus. But I just don't see why you would do that, considering if it hits, this is what you get, 48. But you can use back 3, which is also a high, as long range, but is an actual launcher, a normal hit, and actually has some tracking to both sides. Some tracking. Much more towards people who step left. No, sorry, people who step right. My bad. So yeah, I just don't see the purpose of forward 3 really anymore. No tracking whatsoever. Completely linear. Duckable. And you just don't get crazy frames or rewards on block or hit. And now we're gonna talk about forward 1+2. It has seen a damage reduction, used to do 28, now does 25, and it has less pushback on block. But the move is still safe at -9. It just pushes back less. So nothing too dramatic there. While sending 2, -2 damage on the initial hit. And now we have the Pimp Cane. And the Pimp Cane does a whole 10 damage less now. So it does 35 in total instead of 45. And as you remember, on last patch, it went from +8 on block, which knocked them down onto their ass. And it's now, as you can see, -7. So it's been nerfed a lot, but it's still incredibly good. And I'm gonna talk about it more in part 2. And parry recovers 5 frames slower on whiff. Well, whiff, you know, not grabbing anything, not actually parrying a move. It recovers 5 frames slower. But, you know, it's still pretty fucking spammable. And now we're at the second part of the video where I will share my general thoughts on Leroy post-patch. Where does he stand now with all of the nerfs? And in my opinion, he's still one of the strongest characters in the game, and I will now detail why. First off, and these are not going to be in order where I feel like the most important first. I've just written down a list of all of the really great stuff he has, and I'm taking them one by one. But first off, the Pimp cane is one hell of a thing to have. It's basically an extra rage drive still, with both of the nerfs it's received. It's still like an extra rage drive, but he can do at any time. And it is a super long range, just like Noctis Aura, super long range, class 1, sky high launcher, 35 damage, homing, and perfectly safe on block. It used to be +7 on block, knock them down on their ass. It is now -7, but that just doesn't change the fact that it is an amazing move he can do at any time. That is basically like a rage drive. And it is faster than the Aura at 22 frames. Aura is 25. And Aura is certainly not homing. So this Pimp cane still, even with the nerf, is incredibly strong. And then we have his Downward One, which, as you probably know, is one of those universal tools most Tekken characters have. Not Marduk, not Brian, but most characters have that, mid, keep them in check, that's usually -1 to -3 on block. His Downward One is very, very strong. It's the best one in the game, in my opinion. And this is because it has a crazy hitbox, it's got super long horizontal range, but it also hits very deep, very close to the ground. So deep that he can in fact dash jab with this. You don't really see Tekken characters able to do that. So it has an enormous hitbox, and even with this, it does a healthy 12 damage. Akuma, other DLC characters like 2D, Akuma and Geese, they do 10 damage. Armor King does 12. 12 is pretty natural. But what's really weird is that even with the hitbox and the damage, it's -1 on block. And it also has follow-ups. 2 safe follow-ups. A high option, Downward 1-1, and double mid, Downward 1-4, which is -6 into Hermit. That might sound bad, but he can parry here, so there's mind games. But the thing is, in Tekken, when a Downward One has follow-ups, it's usually -3. If it has 2 follow-ups, especially, it's usually -3. So this Downward One, in my opinion, is too good. So that, I'm guessing it's going to be nerfed in another patch. And then, in my opinion, he has the best set of lows in the game. When it comes to lows, this guy can do anything. So you have a Horang low in down 3-2 that did receive a damage nerf, but it's still +8 into the crazy stance that is Hermit. It still has very long range, as you can see. Natural combo, super strong. Sidestep 4, +4, -12 on block. Has got pretty fucking good range. Oh, sorry. You see?
You got no.
Oh, sorry. That was not on purpose. And of course, if I get the counter hit, blap blap, 49 damage. Down 2. 15 frame fast low, where he immediately high crushes and does a healthy 15 damage. On block is -12. Can add an extension if I want to. That will counter hit, knock down if I get the counter hit into ground pound into mix up. This is a great low on its own, just down 2. So fast, really nice crush. Down back 4. Evasive, crushes quite well. Long range, low, -14 on block, sorry. But should you get the counter hit, boom, 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 48 damage. It's really nice to have. Oh, and as a little cherry on top of a low cake, long range homing hell sweep that is 18 frames fast. Fastest hell sweep as well. And longest range and homing. If you can point to any character you feel has a better set of lows, do let me know in the comment section. Oh, and now we're going to look at his punishment, which I also feel is incredible. 10 frame, 124, +3 into Hermit. 12 frame, either 2-2 for 30 damage, or from long range, like if you block a get up 4, tap, 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 tap. You see the range on this shit? Super long range 12 frame punish for 28 damage and +3. Super good. At 13 frames we can do downward 1-4 for 28 damage +6 Hermit. 14 frames, ratatatata, boom! 51 damage, has pretty good range as well, as you can see. Yeah, sick. Oh, and at 15, downward 2, 1+2. Hits from pretty far away. But also, do not forget that for long range punishment at -15, forward for 2-2. If you do it fast, it's 15 frames. Hits from very far away. You see? Oh, and while standing for 11, 13 frames, while standing 1-4, +6 Hermit, 30 damage. And he has a long range 15 frame while standing Punisher and while standing 2. And with Punish, oh, back 3, Orbital, down for 2, 1+2, Pimp Cane. Yeah, wow, what's the issue here with punishment? There is none. Oh, and mix-ups. So, like, not only does he have, like, quite a few annoying strings to annoy you with that can be delayed also. That adds depth to his mix-up game, you know, being able to delay stuff. Some cool strings. But Hermit stance. This stance is so strong. So many amazing options, you know, with his counter hit, homing low. Back 1, which launches and is really good on block. Forward 1, 14 frame, that's his electric. 14 frame counter hit launcher. It has a built-in low parry. You can sidestep out of it. Oh god, and these options. Or this one, classic. Down 3-2, 3-4. Hermit stance is very strong. He has great mix-ups from that stance. So mix-ups are strong in my opinion. And he has access to an unsteppable 50-50, and which is pretty much unbackdashable as well. So let me explain this. If Leroy, if you're standing at this range from Leroy, or even at this range, there's nothing you can do. You can't backdash, and you can't sidestep his 50-50 if the Leroy is doing this. Either back 4 or down back 3, 1+2. Because that homing hell sweep just has so much range. The back 4 has so much range, as you can see. Oh, this is by the way on its own still one of the best homing moves in the game, in my opinion. It has near infinite range, which is so comical in a way because Leroy is one of the smaller male characters. His legs aren't that long, but the hitboxes surely are. So this gives him incredible space control. And you'll see this when Koreans play, you know, the best Koreans play against Leroy. All they do is they stand like this, they don't even sidestep here. They're like, oh, all you can do is guess. Because, again, you can't sidestep that. You can't sidestep this mid option either. You can't backdash it. They both have too much range. So incredible space control. And his parry, even with the nerf, is certainly an extremely good parry. And a great mind game to have on people when they block your moves. You know, is he going to parry after that orbital? Still very strong. A great strength with Leroy is that there's no execution whatsoever. Everything is super easy and reliable, and you always do the same combo. He has still really great safe launchers in upward 4 and back 3. Back 3 is incredible. So underrated. Long range, very fast, high launcher. It's even faster than forward 3. You know, there's no reason to use forward 3 anymore. Oh, and his crazy counter hit game. You know, this string is still insane. Back 1 is still insane. Back 1+2 is still fucking insane. Down 1+2 is still pretty fucking crazy. this character still has amazing tools. And of course, all of the stuff he can do, the counter hits from Hermit. Again, back one. Oh, sorry, another safe launcher. Hermit forward 4. Neutral on block. And of course, counter hit back 4. Counter hit launching low. And I would say that the problems the character has right now is that his damage now is average, especially in Season 3 with the power creep. He used to have godlike damage, now it's average, so he's not S there anymore. And then throws, always been this way, you know, many of the top tier characters have perfect throw games, 1, 2 and 1+2 break. He only has a 1+2 throw, but doesn't give very good Oki in my opinion. So throws is also average. He used to be much more of a long range threat due to forward 3, as that could, it was homing. It did so much damage. It was so plus on block. And he could mix that up with forward 1+2, forward 2. So even at long range, he had incredible space control. You didn't dare step him or really backdash because of forward 3. But now that that move has been neutered, it's useless basically. All he has is forward 2. So he's not as threatening from long range because, let's see, I'm gonna try and record all of these. That one, forward 2, and even forward 3. All of these are steppable. If you time it properly. There we go. You see? Oh, sorry, I didn't sidestep. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm missing. Oh god. My god. That move is easier to step than forward 2. But you gotta time the sidestep. Not a single forward 3. Okay, I'm fucking up. Yeah, I fucked up a couple of times, but I'm just trying to stress that from this range now, just step away. He doesn't really have anything to threaten you with, but at this range, it's very hard due to back 4 and the health sweep. But yeah, so now you know the pros of a character and the cons, and in my opinion, with everything I just listed, I feel the character is still incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. So definitely top tier still. He's not god tier, he's top tier. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you all celebrate 5 million copies sold. I know I will. Well, it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so when we toast to 4 years together, me and the girlfriend and lovely Wilhelm, maybe 5 million copies sold, I'll what's it called? I will whisper it under my breath. 5 million copies sold. And then I'll get slapped by my girlfriend. No, she's very happy as well. But so thank you for listening to me, and have a lovely day. Take care, everyone.